So I've had a video request on the topic of why bother with love if all that happens is it ends up in heartbreak. So when I look at relationships in the world around me, most of the time, in a lot of those relationships, they are highly dysfunctional. People are dishonest with each other. People are really dishonest with each other. People are nasty to each other. We take our frustrations out on our partners. And just in general, a lot of the time, relationships are ending up in divorce, and we can't seem to sustain long-term relationships very easily. Obviously, there is a percentage of relationships where people do make it last and are happy in them and have worked through their issues, but it's definitely not the majority. So what we're seeing is a reflection of not just our relationship with other people, but it also reflects our relationship with ourselves, because it shows how much, especially in the start of relationships, when you're going out into the world and you're trying to meet people and you feel like you have to present yourself in a certain way, you have to look this way, talk this way, be interested in these topics, look like you have a good job. And it's by presenting ourselves essentially falsely, we're starting off the relationship in a dishonest way. We're starting with deceit. So the truth does eventually come out as the relationship goes on. And the truth is who we really are, which includes our issues. It includes our dysfunctional way of dealing with our emotions, for example. And that manifests in ways like taking frustrations out on your partner, deceiving them, being unfaithful, chasing after a new relationship to find that high again. And all the while, we're not actually addressing the source of these issues, which is ourselves. We're not looking inwards to see, okay, why do I keep creating these relationships? Why do I keep behaving in this way in my relationship? Why do I keep attracting particular people who behave a certain way in my relationships? Everything that we are seeing happening in our lives, everything that we are creating in our lives is a reflection of us. So we must be careful not to fall into that trap of blaming other people for being the ones who keep deceiving us and for doing these terrible things to us. Every relationship is an equal creation from both partners. However, having said that, of course, every individual person is responsible only for themselves. But a relationship becomes like a co-creation. So it's a reflection of both partners. So what one way to go about finding a partner who is actually well suited to you is, first of all, address your shit, address your issues, be okay with yourself, bearing in mind that one of the greatest gifts of a relationship is that it brings the worst in us out. And there's two ways that you can deal with that. You can either let yourself become even more evil and nasty and take all of your ugliness out on your partner, or take responsibility for it, face it, and change it. So because it's a person you're spending most of your time with, they're seeing you at your best moments, they're also seeing you in your worst moments. It gives us an endless supply of opportunities to change. So as much as possible, be okay with yourself before you even try and and think about getting a partner, especially if you're looking for a relationship to fulfill something within you. The moment you start looking at another person to fulfill something within you, know that by creating that dependency on them, there's an imbalance in your relationship. So if there's a person in your life who brings something out in you, whether it's positive or negative, reflect on that and see how you can take responsibility for that in terms of creating that for and as yourself, or changing your behavior if you don't want to carry on behaving that way. And that's actually a very common thing when people stray in relationships. They find someone who brings out this excitement and passion within them, and now they're thinking it's this person doing it to them. But at the end of the day, it's always within us. It's always been there, and it's up to us to bring it out. And we can do that in our relationship, even if it's been 10 or 20 or 30 years, because it's a self-creation. Right, so once you're at a point where your relationship with yourself is pretty solid and stable, and I'm not saying that you have to do it this way, obviously. Do it however you want to. You can go into a relationship and deal with your issues as they come up with your partner, and hope for the best. But having conflict resolution skills, having communication skills, being able to address your emotional reactions, all of these things will be very helpful in a relationship, because it's like an endless supply of emotional reactions. Anyway, so sure, using dating apps and all of that is one way to go about it. And maybe you'll get lucky and find someone unusual there, someone who's not just looking for a fling, or someone who's serious about finding a long-term relationship. But other ways that you can go about it is really tap into your passions, really tap into who you are, and participate in the world, in the community around you, in ways that fulfills your enjoyment. Do things that you enjoy, whether it's going to dancing classes or book clubs, or joining community initiatives to clean up your neighborhood. Start participating in your world, in what's around you, and that might open some new doors. The more connections you make with people who are, let's call it like-minded, people who are connecting with you and maybe can recognize the time and effort you have put into developing yourself into being a person who's trustworthy, a person who's respects yourself and respects other, a person who is dependable, all of these things, then, those are the relationships that you start developing, and maybe something comes from that. And at the end of the day, it's a pretty messed up world with a lot of messed up people, and the more we focus on healing ourselves and each other, the more that is what we will create. All right. Thank you for watching. You're going to see me next time.